something that may arise from time to time, it's not fixed and it's not certain, then and you don't have anything going on right now, then you're probably okay.
Okay.
Right, you go to jail, what else?
Thanks, Jim. Love working with you.
And
You guys are great.
I jokingly say that because, it's a pizza.
Yeah, well, that's why. All right.
And if you're wrong,
Yeah, I'm still the one that goes, Jim. Thanks. Great.
I jokingly say that.
I know. I know.
I've never seen anybody go to jail in all my years. Doc won't be the first.
Oh, well, hey, you can make a name.
What can I do?
Every time I do an FAA draw, right?
Okay, before we get too far down this road.
It's all good.
Okay, do we have everybody we're expecting? Were Chuck and Bob gonna be able to call in?
Chuck was not going to be
Okay.
calling in. I believe Chuck was planning for it. He's not.
Do we have
in
him?
yet, So
Okay.
we have our forum.
We do. Let's give it a couple potatoes, and I'll send a message. See if we can both text, and we'll see. We'll see who answers first. That way, we know who his favorite
Oh,
is.
yeah. Who never gets saved. Better than that.
But drama's fun.
Do we have Chuck on the line?
That's what we're just trying to get a hold of him.
Oh, okay.
In that case, we'd still have to do a test.
Yes.
Okay, I get it. I get it. Well, what would we do without our attorney?
Probably all be in jail, right?
Thanks for the vote of confidence.
Yeah. You guys keep me busy.
No, I think
All right.
you and this all the boards in the past are very. Well, I don't want to say what the word is, but
You guys have all been pretty good.
yeah, I think so.
It's just when you're in small communities, these situations, conflict situations, just arise, and you don't really see those in the big urban areas. But it's the way it goes.
Yeah. You know, a little bit different when it's a small town. Everybody knows each other.
And even in particular industry,
Small industry.
Yes, there isn't a board member, there isn't a pilot.
Yep.
So.
All right, he's got until 5 after.
Turn my phone off.
Is he canceled?
We can also start since there's a quorum, and if you join, oh, there he is.
Here we go. See? Anyway, jump on. All right. Well, in that case, let's get started. For the special meeting, Board of Directors, Mojave Spaceport at Rutan Field. It's called to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ariel, I'd love to put you on the spot again.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody.
Chuck Holman is here.
There we go. Well, let's kick off the roll call. Director Coleman,
Here.
Director Allred,
Here.
Director Valentine,
Here.
Director Barney is here. And do we have a Director Morgan? We're not expecting him. Nope. Okay. So we've got 4 of us, 3 in the district. Do I hear a motion concerning the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
All right. All those. Well, we got to do roll call because we have somebody not here. All right. Director Coleman,
Aye.
Director Valentine,
Right.
Director Allred,
Aye.
and Director Barney. Aye. The agenda is approved. Let's start with community announcements. I know Nicole showed me something that she wanted announced. Does somebody have a flyer they can speak to?
So I did want to announce that we have our pilot controller forum for pre-RSAT, which is our runway safety action team, that will be occurring on August 30th. The pilot controller forum will be held on July 26th at 10 a.m. We do encourage all tenants, pilots to attend, and we'll discuss some of our runway safety items that we are anticipating on our RSAT next month.
So is the airport hosting that, or is that a separate organization?
The airport is hosting that. The FAA recommends 30 days prior to your RSAT meeting that you have a forum between your air traffic controllers. We will also have somebody from Joshua Approach there, your pilots and tenants, and any applicable stakeholders to arrive if they have a vested interest in runway safety here at Mojave.
And so what's the goal of this forum?
So last year we had an RSAT as well. From there we had different action items with recommendations from the FAA. So we'll be taking a few moments to review those items, as well as to review any new concerns that pilots or controllers may have brought up or recognized over the last year, and come up with a game plan to have that ready before the FAA has their action meeting.
Okay, so for pilots who might be listening in who are interested in operations and runway safety at Mojave, would it be if they have a suggestion or they're looking for education? Is it more about getting information from the community, or is it about imparting information to the community?
It's more of a conversation. One thing that it does provide is an opportunity for our pilots and users of the airspace to be able to speak with airport management as well as our air traffic controllers and Joshua Approach if they are able to make it. Mm-hmm. And everything from, we have a funky departure that we want to work on, which was one of the action items on our last RSAT. They looked at the Glazy 1 departure, to operating procedures here at the airport, separation procedures. There's something we're doing, for instance, somebody may say, hey, when we have these construction projects, this is how it affects us operationally, and we think that it's a safety issue. Because one thing that I do want to emphasize, that this is a safety forum and we want to remain safety focused on all of these items. I do know a couple of the items that we are discussing. One was the voluntary driver's training program to help vehicle safety on the airfield, and then another one was the vehicle service road over here on Taxiway Charlie. And the third one we're looking at are Taxiway Bravo and Taxiway Bravo Bravo as well, whether to keep that a movement or non-movement area. So those are some of the items on the discussion board that we're looking at.
All right, thank you for letting me ask so many in-depth questions about this.
Could you share what the acronym is so that the media knows?
So the RSA is the Runway Safety Action Team. From there, we are given a runway safety action plan based on our discussions both with our tenants, our pilots, our airspace users, and then with the FAA.
Okay.
And that is just a series of recommendations, things we can do to improve safety here at Mojave.
Great. I know they were on, and sometimes acronyms throw people off. So.
Oh, I completely understand. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. Do we have any other?
One other question. What is the location?
So the location for our pilot controller forum next week will be at the Stubitz Center. And if anybody would like to join, please email Nicole at the front desk and she can get you a reservation. And of course, we are providing snacks.
You're going to lead with the snacks.
Okay, so there's food. Please come eat. And then also talk about runway safety. Also, there's food.
Perfect.
Or a taxiway light.
Well, I wasn't going to come, but now I am.
Oh, goodness. All right. Do we have any other community announcements? So I do want to give a shout out to this last Plane Crazy this past week. There were 30, 40 aircraft that flew in. There's a whole contingent of Apple employees that flew on down, and Kathy arranged a tour of the Straddle Launch Hangar for some of them. It was just so super well attended, and it was just a wonderful showing of aircraft. So do keep Plane Crazy on your radar. So, and as always, thank you so much to the airport for supporting, and security's presence is very helpful and very pleasant for keeping everybody wrangled, and especially with filling up the ramp with so many airplanes this past weekend.
I really want to put a thanks out to Kathy. I've always said she is our public face, and without her, I just feel it would be a great loss. Yeah. So thank you, Kathy, for listening.
Yep, thank you. Anything else cool coming up? No, anyone online? Nope. Okay. All right, moving on. Items for the consent agenda. So we have the last set of minutes and a check register. Is there any need for questions or discussion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Director Coleman?
Aye.
Director Valentine?
Aye.
Director Allred?
Aye.
And Director Barney? Aye. Consent items pass. On to the action items. So we have CalPERS unfunded liability. How are we doing with that, Carrie?
Okay. This is our annual payment that we bring every year. CalPERS gives us the option to pay it annually. It saves us 3.4% by just paying it annually. We have the funds available in our bank account to just pay it now, so we don't have to pay it monthly, and we can have the savings of $16,000. So we're just looking for the approval to make that one-time
We've
payment.
done it in the past, and I think we can save a few bucks. So
Yeah.
I'll motion to approve it.
Okay. No, let's any discussion from anybody online? Nope. Any discussion from members of the board?
Sorry.
Nope. Oh, you're fine. All right. So we have a motion and we have a second. Roll call vote. Director Coleman. Did we lose you?
He's just muted. Are you there, Chuck?
Aye, sorry.
No worries.
Aye.
Great. Got your eye. Director Valentine.
Aye.
Director Allred.
Aye.
Director Bernie. Aye. All right. Item A passes. On to item B. So the Hanson Hangar 971 sublet agreement. Yeah.
Madam President, members of the board, Kathy Hansen has a pretty nice large hangar here at Mojave and has been gracious enough to sublet to meet some of the needs of our existing tenants. In this case, she has requesting consent to sublease to a portion of our hangar to Aerospace Operations LLC, which is another tenant of ours, both in good standing. We have no issue. The staff recommends approval of the consent to sublease and authorization for me, the CEO, to execute the agreement with council approval.
I have a question just for clarification. Did we previously approve a sublet for her in this same hangar?
Yes.
Okay, so she's got two tenants. Okay, well, that's great. Thank you, Kathy. No.
Yeah, we appreciate it because right now there's such a shortage of hangar space. I don't typically see subletting at other airports, but in this case, it benefits us tremendously.
Yeah.
So I am very indebted to her because we get to bring people in that fly and are active and purchasing fuel and testing, and she's gracious enough to host them.
Yeah. Ever since I've been on the board, it's been nothing to rent. Almost literally.
We're working on that part.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Any other questions? Items for discussion from members of the public or members of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Barring anybody attempting to speak up, which doesn't look like there is, roll call vote. Director Coleman,
Aye.
Director Valentine,
All right.
Director Allred,
Aye.
and Director Barney. Aye. So let approved. Item C, retention credit engagement letter.
Okay. This one, Scott may be able to help me out if you guys have any further questions. This Think LLP is an organization that can help us. So we're asking for the approval of the engagement letter to identify if we're eligible for any of the COVID credit. So what this is just giving us the permission to move forward with this company. They do take a percentage of anything that we were to obtain, but without giving this organization, we wouldn't be able to obtain it. So this company has worked with other agencies that Scott has worked with, and they've been successful. So we're just asking if we could move forward to give them some of the initial information on the district and what we went through during COVID to see if we qualify.
Okay.
They get, I was going to say, they get 17%, as I read.
Yeah,
Do they get this before?
they don't. No, it's only at the point that, from my understanding, is at the point that they've identified we're going to receive the credit back, then they let us know what that 17% is.
And we get to, I think there's phase one, they report to us, and then we decide if we proceed with it.
Yes. Yeah. This engagement is just so we can move forward and provide them
Sure. Okay.
to log in and provide them all the documentation that we may have.
And this is something we can't do on our own?
We can do, I feel like with their expertise, I don't, yeah, so Scott's saying no, yeah. I feel like we'd spend so much time.
Yeah, so theoretically, you could do it on your own, but I think, so my other clients really just haven't had the staffing to devote the time to it, nor the expertise. The ERC is available for certain periods of time, and under certain conditions. And in this case, I think it's probably best to retain someone who specializes in this. I would note, I get a call probably once a day from companies who tell me I'm eligible for the ERC, and I know that I'm not. There's a lot of scams out there regarding the ERC. But Think LLP, they got Kern Valley Healthcare District, I think $2.8 million in ERC credits. Now they they have over 200 employees, so their scale is a little different from yours. But Think LLP is not one of those scamming companies, and they are experts in this. I think it probably makes the most sense for you guys to work with someone like them, rather than in-house.
I think it'll be interesting to see. I know COVID didn't really have a lot of impact on us, like a lot of.
Yeah, not so much on the revenue, but they were kind of focused more on how we went to Zoom meetings. We had people working remote. We were still covering people on their health insurance during this time. We kept everyone employed.
Do we know how
Are
much?
you guys familiar with the ERC?
What was that?
Are you familiar with the employment retention credit?
I am.
Oh, yeah, sort of.
Yeah, so this is, the government did PPP, of course, which you guys applied for, I believe, and I believe you received PPP funds. And originally, the ERC was available for employers who did not do PPP, but the HEROES Act changed that law, and for 2020 and 2021, even if you got a PPP loan, you could apply for the employment retention credit. And what it is it's based on your payroll tax for the designated period in time. And it's considered to be a reward for employers who kept people employed during the COVID period. And so this will be based primarily off of your the pay. It's actually a payroll tax credit for you. Carrie, I don't believe that you guys actually get cash. I think you just get a credit towards your payroll taxes.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Money. It's just kind of down.
Approximately how much are we?
I think in their brochure, it was anywhere from 5 to 26,000 employee, if I've seen it correctly in the brochure.
Per
So,
employee,
yeah,
possibly.
possible.
Okay, that's not nothing.
Yeah.
And especially if we don't have to pay for it up front, and they just, all right, so we'd get a tax credit. So there would be some period of time where, okay, we, file our taxes, so it hasn't really reflected on our books yet, and we need to make a payment to them.
Right.
So anyway, that could bite us, but it sounds like it's going to be an amount of cash that isn't, really cause an issue.
Right.
Interesting. So it's a tax credit. So where would that be applied?
the payroll taxes.
I was going to say
For
right now
payroll,
it's
okay.
under our, we do the taxes under the
Okay.
the payroll, the salaries and
Yeah.
payroll
Yeah.
benefit line. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, any questions?
Motion to approve.
A second.
All right, roll call vote. Director Coleman?
Aye.
Director Valentine?
Right.
Director Allred?
Aye.
And Director Barney? Aye. All right, super. Hopefully we get something out of it.
Yep.
Okay, so the last action item, destruction of certain records.
Yeah, this is from time to time. It's been a couple years since we've brought a list of documents that are eligible to be disposed of. So we're just asking for permission to pass the resolution for the document disposal. And the list of boxes, it's mostly financial information, contracts, and all of them are eligible to be destroyed at this point.
So what is AR? Help me out.
That's accounts receivable.
Oh,
So
accounts
it's anything,
Okay, so just financial records. My only concern with when we dispose of anything is all right, is there anything historically significant?
at this time on this listing, there's nothing historical. We have a whole nother room to go through before we get to that.
Right on. Okay, well, any questions, comments?
Just as long as it's acceptable to destroy the documents is what you said. So it's not going to come back and say, hey, we wish we hadn't destroyed those.
No, this is normal legal
Yeah.
practice.
At this time, all
Okay.
of the years have been audited, and it's been over the time frame for us to destroy them.
Very good.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Motion.
Second.
All right. Director Coleman,
Aye.
Director Valentine,
Aye.
Director Allred,
Aye.
Director Barney. Aye. All right. Destroy those records.
All right. Clean
On,
house.
on to reports. Here,
That's it.
Yeah,
I got a question. Since a lot of the records nowadays are digital versus physical paper, does it affect those, or we just retain them? They're on digital medium.
At this time, we're still staying with our same policy we've had. If we print them and we have the hard copies, then we're
Okay.
treating them as normal. Like even if we have a scanned copy of it, whatever's the original document, we're boxing them and keeping them for the time frame.
Right, but if we had it, let's say, on a digital medium, it doesn't affect that, those would still, I guess, remain.
Yeah, to my knowledge,
We're not there yet.
Jason hasn't come. I don't think he's at this
You see
point.
what I'm saying?
No, but
We're
digital
st-
hoarding becomes a problem because it does take physical,
Right.
physical space
Yeah.
and media somewhere.
He hasn't asked for a new server yet to store more of. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, as long as it's not sneaking up on us, is a problem.
Yeah.
That's, you know,
No,
it's not easier to go through digital records
Yeah.
and dispose of them.
Yeah.
Click.
Yeah, making sure you're clicking the right things though.
yeah. He has things in place though that if we do click, he can retrieve them. So
Okay. Any other questions before we move on to the reports? Oh, okay. Gary, still your floor.
This is like my board meeting. These are the financials since we didn't have our meeting at the beginning of July. This is for the month ending May. Bank balance decreased 37,000, so didn't have much fluctuation there. Operating revenue, we're at 98%. Operating expenses at 81%, so still with just 1 month left, we're kind of on track with the overall expenses. Fuel sales at 71,000 gallons.
I had a question regarding the lubricants.
Yes.
Beginning inventory 185, quarts purchased 0, quarts sold 20, ending inventory 20, physical check 185.
I will check into that.
You
Just
see what
kind
I'm
of see.
saying?
Yeah, no, yeah, it might be an
Sold
Excel.
20, hey,
Yeah,
that's the way to make money.
yeah, if we have more, yeah. But I can check into that.
All right.
For a while, you
Look
could
at-
aeroshell oil cheaper here than you could anywhere else.
Okay. No, I don't know if the board has ever asked, but when you look at the avgas inventories,
Mhm.
and it's the ending inventory and then the physical checks never agree because
That's,
of atmospheric compression.
yeah, I was going to say that's due to weather.
Okay,
Yep,
I
hot,
was really understand that.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
hot, cold, yes, because I question fuels when it's off. But it's usually that change of season sometimes, and
Sure.
and then it usually makes up for it the next month.
Yeah.
So it fluctuates. Our process as far as measuring fuel is a little bit old school, you know, dipping the
It's-
tanks, and yeah, it's not all digital. On the AR, we haven't had a whole lot of movement. Everything's kind of status quo in regards to Space Link Mast and Emergent Orbit, working with legal on them. American Verde, he had vacated his property and still had an outstanding payment, but we have been in connection with him. He is still wanting to make payments to keep his account current before we send him to credit agency. So we'd rather try to work with him and not have to go that route. And then Dean Soves just continues to make some small payments towards his past due
We
account.
make big payments.
Well, so do we have anything other than the clean air on the ramp that he's in arrears for? Clean air.
No.
Do we normally do when we have a space leased out to somebody like that?
For tie downs, and Lynn, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but my understanding is we don't have long-term agreements for tie downs. And I don't know why. I think it's demand, isn't it? We just never had anybody that was interested.
Years ago, they had a that but it was that number where protecting actions tied down and we accounted for that movement of an aircraft. They did a little bit of corner to
So if somebody flew in and said, hey, I want to tie down for, 3 months, 6 months, and we have tie downs, how would we handle that? How would we give them a price? What kind of paperwork would be necessitated? Like, what would we do?
I think we've done access licenses in the past when it's going to be longer than, just a couple days. We don't have anything. They park, they come in and pay. But I think we've done access license for those that are going to be here a little bit longer.
And what does an access license entail?
So I can speak to that if you'd like.
Please do.
There are generally 2 agreements to enter and use property. One is a lease and one is a license. The difference is a lease provides the tenant with exclusive possession and occupancy of the premises. A license just gives the person a non-exclusive right and non-possessory right to enter onto the premises for the agreed purposes. In this case, it would be tying down an aircraft for some period of time. With a lease, a tenant has certain legal rights, and in order to evict a tenant, you have to go through it's a statutory unlawful detainer process. For a license, because there is no exclusive or possessory interest in the property, the license can be terminated at any time. And if the license is terminated and the licensee does not leave the property, then they become a trespasser, and you don't have to follow the statutory unlawful detainer procedures.
Do we have a lease or a license for that Queen Air that's taking up a spot in our airport?
So the tie downs are all licenses. They are not leases.
Not have one for that specific one.
Okay.
And I'd have to, and afterwards we can meet with Sonia, because there is one gentleman who purchased, I don't know if it's the Queen Air, I don't know it offhand, but one of the aircraft he has actually purchased, somebody else started paying. What Dean has right here is his past due amount.
Okay.
So we can double check to see which aircraft it is.
Okay.
Because I don't have it offhand. So one might be, there's one that I know he has sold, and then one he has claimed that he has a lien on. So we can get clarification if the Queen Air is the one that he has sold, and the person is paying that. The amount that Dean has on his account is all past due.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I mean, it sounds like the best possible news could be if he's sold the airplanes and then it's just a fixed amount he needs to pay down slowly.
Right.
And it's not continuing to accrue.
Right.
So yeah, I would love to get details on that. And yeah, if we could do it during the meeting, that'd be phenomenal. But if we have to do it until after, then that's it.
Yeah. I'll send a message right afterwards, and then we'll get the response. So that's on the AR. Like I said, we're still continuing to work on them. Fitness Center has 660 members right now.
Yes.
So, yeah.
660?
Yeah. And I don't know if you've received the notices. The Fitness Center is now open 24/7 on the event center side. So that way, so they can do, pickleball was becoming more popular, and volleyball tournaments, and they wanted to do that on the weekends and in the evenings. So the Fitness Center did agree to do it on a trial basis to make sure that we didn't have any damage and safety and all of that. But so that's trying to promote more members to come in.
Great. I'm glad to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works out.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Have anything else for us, Carrie? No. Okay. All right. So we give you a break. Tim.
Madam President, members of the board. First item is runway 1230 rehabilitation. The first 3 phases were completed by July 2nd, which was actually 2 days prior to when they were supposed to complete. So very impressed by that, even with two weather days, which I just thought was hilarious. I'm like, you're in Mojave, what weather? So they did a great job on that. They still need to come back and do the second coat of painting for the runway, and it will take 6 days to complete with an anticipated start date of July 31st. Now, our Director of Operations, Ariel, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she came up with a procedure that would require no closure but pullback for that.
Pullback.
They have to leave the runway safety area prior to an arriving aircraft.
Okay.
That is correct. As Tim had mentioned earlier, fortunately, we don't have terribly a lot of weather at Mojave, but when we do have is heat. And as soon as the paint is laid down, it's usually within a couple minutes that paint is dry and usable. So we, instead of having another full closure of the runway and as well as the intersecting runways, I've been working with our engineer as well as our contractors to be able to develop pullback procedures. So essentially when an aircraft is on either base or on arrival, the control tower will communicate to our striping crews to vacate the runway and safety areas. and they'll be able to do that. The aircraft can land and move off of the runway, and then we'll be able to leave it open. There will be times where we may ask, hang out for just a couple seconds or extend your downward so we can get them off, but we're hopeful that we won't have any operational hiccups, and this will be a lot easier than having a full runway closure.
Yeah, that sounds pretty excellent. So the second coat of paint is going to definitely happen during times that the control tower is open?
Correct. I have made sure that one of the conditions is that the control tower is open when they do that. If they are not open, then we will have an escort.
And is there a chance we may have particular operations like a straddle launch event or something critical with NTPS or one of the other tenants that really necessitates special use of 1230, or is it going to happen during just
I have been
ops?
coordinating with our tenants to avoid any special operations. The only thing I have is Strato will be conducting a minor operation in the morning, but that'll be prior to striping operations, so they will not be able to have anything that will extend time on the runway like we see with Strato's other operations.
Super. Well, yeah, thanks for deconflicting that. It keeps me from getting an earful about 1230 being close.
No, I was very blessed to be able to have this team. This team has been phenomenal to work with, and I'm glad that we were able to come up with a solution so we don't have to close the runway for another week.
Is this a common practice to do it like this? Okay. I mean, okay, good. I'm glad we can do it. It just seems, hey, get off the runway, get it in down.
It depends on the traffic of the airport. So very busy commercial service airport, it's really impractical, but fortunately with the traffic that we have here at Mojave, at times it may be a little bit annoying, and I'm sure the stripers will have choice words for me. At the end of the day, we have a level of traffic that makes us able to do this, and if we were a much busier airport, it would definitely be a lot more difficult.
Report back to see how it actually went. Because like I said, hey, we're getting ready to point. Well, you got to stop.
Well,
these guys are very experienced, and they're quick, so they're used to it.
Fortunately, we have fast going paint to do it.
and I just want to make a comment here really quick. I'm very grateful that Ariel figured this out, and this just demonstrates to you guys the level of quality that we have, not only with the Director of Operations, but that department as a whole, because generally speaking, that could have been just a straight up 6-day closure. And so that really demonstrates, I think, the momentum that we're going towards is alternatives that have at least impact on our tenants.
Absolutely. Thank you, too. That's for you.
All right, taxiway electrical rehabilitation. So
we skipped Inland Port.
Oh, did I?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Inland Port. I have been in contact with the Inland Port. They did not receive the Caltrans grant that they were waiting on to see if they would receive it to determine the scope of what they're going to construct. So now they're in the permitting and design phases. So they are keeping in constant contact with me on their progress, and they are making progress. It's just they had to wait to find out if they could have done a larger project. Taxiway Alpha electrical rehabilitation. We did award a bid that came in at $1.94 million. The FAA funding for this project, though, is $1.15 million. Mead and Hunt and the airport are working on trying to find ways to pare the project down so we incur as least amount of financial liability as possible. And it's actually doable because what we originally proposed was to replace not only the electrical circuit, but signs and lights. We will eventually need to do a taxiway Alpha rehabilitation in the next couple of years. And I said, one way we can pare it down is to just assume that if we do that project, we'll pair the signage and lighting to that project. So we're just kicking it down the road a couple of years. But we think that we have a solution that will reduce our responsibility for this project. But we're just running the numbers right now just to make it work. Okay, but this is a gift. I can't stress this enough. This is one of those times where it benefits us to have a plan ready to go, because we only got this discretionary funding because another airport couldn't afford their responsibility for the project. So we lucked out. Let's just put it that way. The water Main Street system update, there's really not a lot of progress on that right now because there's a lot of engineering that's going into this project to make sure we can figure out the needs and what we need to do to work on the water system. But we still are moving forward with the planning for the relocation of the water line in the GA complex. I think that that's going to be a project for this upcoming summer. The water system hydraulic modeling, I'm sorry, that's what I was telling you about. That's very involved. A lot of engineering. They're still working on it. We will get a final report here soon later. But in regards to the hangar development update, and I'm going to apologize to the board about this. I did present a letter of agreement to the board in the last meeting, and we had some suggestions and concerns. The company we're working with made those changes, and everything looks great. But because of how busy our schedule was for this meeting, I left it off in case there would need to be some additional comments. I did advise the entities that are involved that's the reason why I pushed it, and they're okay with it. So anticipate the MOU to be presented to you guys in the next board meeting. And then finally, property rented. Gauntlet Aerospace.
Can I back up a minute?
Sure.
On this hydraulic study, is it a study that's usable 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now if we continue to develop or improve our water system?
Absolutely.
Or is it a study that has to happen again?
It really, and this is my understanding of it, is that I mean it's a study of where we're at right now with proposals of what we need to do to improve our water line system. That study is good until we make changes, is my understanding.
There could well be, obviously, with new development and replacement of old lines. I just wondered if it was something we have to do every time we have a major project, or that mix that, we can just say, hey, we're going to do this section, we're ready to go.
Yeah, no, I think that this is a long-term study that we can use as a reference. The benefit of it is there's some grants that are available for projects specifically for water lines in communities. Having this kind of information is going to help us tremendously. And then finally, property rented, Gauntlet Aerospace, Hangar 77 with 2-year options, and they've been wonderful because they've considered subletting as well. And they have with Universal Hydrogen. That's where the Universal Hydrogen is keeping their aircraft is Hangar 77.
Which one's 77?
The old Voyager one?
Oh, how many years we got to go back?
Real far.
What is 77?
It's the green hangar where they constructed the Voyager aircraft, and it's right here. Okay. So what's crazy though is you'll see Universal Hydrogen's tail sticking out of the door of the aircraft or of the hangar because the tail's too tall for the hangar. But they're going to get a modification for the hangar door to close it off so they can just leave the tail out.
So Gauntlet owns the hangar, right? Not us? Or
no, we own it.
How do we feel about that modification to the door?
The only concern that we have, and I think I know where you're going with this, is wind. And they are aware of that. They're using an engineering firm to design, and so how do I put it? I don't like it. I know that there are other places that do it, but we don't have a hangar right now that has a tall enough door for the tail.
Yeah, Dash 8's a big airplane, right? I think, my biggest fear is that, we ended up with 80 mile an hour windstorm, its tail's sticking out, and it moves the tail while the aircraft is in the hangar and trashes whatever's in there and then decides the hangar. Right now, I don't know how realistic of a fear that is because I haven't seen exactly how far the tail is going to stick out. But if they're using an engineering firm, then I feel a whole lot better about that mod. But
and Mr. Coleman was surprised that they're going to modify the door like that. I mean, so the structure where the door is attached will be modified also, or just the door?
It's my understanding it's just a modification of the door. They won't cut or do anything to the doors themselves. It's like adding...
Well, I think it is the doors themselves, but not the frame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you've seen at Air Force bases where, the hangars were sized for one thing, and then they decided they needed to put like front end C5 in and the tail sticks out. Right? So it's got like a fuselage-shaped hole in the aft section to accommodate. But
my understanding is that they're not modifying the existing door, like cutting out of it. They're putting in a modification.
So like an insert where the doors would. Okay, well I'm just curious. Right?
So you're saying it will go back to like it wasn't modified when they they're not there anymore then.
Yeah, that modification would be removable. I mean, it's just like with any of our modifications you do here.
So probably
I don't
more correct.
quite understand what that would look like, because without cutting into steel, I don't know how you could do that.
I couldn't tell you.
So,
I don't have the design or anything like that yet.
So, yeah, just, curious what kind of, like liability is impossible damage to the hangar, the aircraft gets torqued, but, not sure if that's excessive conservatism or not. I'm just curious about too.
And then finally, ABL Space Systems, Test Site 15, they exercised their First Amendment for a lease expansion. And my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong once again, is that they needed a bigger footprint of the test site, and I'm sorry, it's a correction, isn't it? They already were using it.
It's an expansion to a site 15. So we're going from the physical exit. We moved what was known as to site 15. And they used that portion, and they were frontage had the rest of the site. So now they have that particular piece of the footprint.
And that works with everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always a coordination issue out there. So.
Yeah, the QDs are quantitative distance. Overhangs so much property out there that we can't generally use it, or because you can't have somebody in a building when that QD is active. So in this case, they have a lot. You can expand your footprint as long as we can account for it, right? But it's not going to have an impact on the QDs of the surrounding sites. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you. Does anybody have any other questions for Tim? Other items on his report?
I have one thing just to add on the Queen Air. So the Queen Air was sold to Dell Lusby. And so he actually has been paying the tie-down at least for the last couple of months.
Okay.
They talked, the plane is supposed to be leaving, but Dean's supposed to be doing some repairs on it. It's supposed to be fine, but we have been receiving payment for that Queen Air once he has sold it.
Okay, so once it transitioned new owner, the new owner has been keeping up and he's in our good graces.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep. And we'll explore more with him how long it's going to be here, if we need to go up to an access license, or if we're just doing the posted tie-down rate on our website.
Right, but be kind for a few days and then see how longer he needs to transition to the access license. Got it. Okay.
So we'll touch base with him.
Well, super. Thank you so much.
a comment from Mr. Coleman, if I could.
What you got?
Now, if he sold it, if it's Dean's and he sold it, therefore, if he doesn't pay for the existing tie-down or whatever, we could put a lien on the aircraft or something, couldn't we? Like Dean does to other airplanes?
No, mechanics have a statutory right to lien an aircraft. We do not.
Okay. What can we do? I mean, how far is he behind, and how much is he behind?
Right. Well, the plane though that there's right now for the reoccurring, for the new payments we are receiving payment for it for the current. So his past due has been on the Queen Air, and there was another aircraft over there that also was part of his past due amount.
How about that Piper Cherokee that's sitting there with a note on it? Is that part of his?
Yeah, that one I believe he has a mechanic's lien on.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we've been talking with Lynn briefly to kind of see what we need to do for his abandoned property.
He has a lien on it, but who owns it? Because mechanics liens are a whole other ball of wax, which, debatable. Now is not the time to debate how much that really means.
Back to the owner of the aircraft, because Dean doesn't own that aircraft, but in his eyes he does, because he can't.
Yeah,
so there's some got to get down in the weeds and then figure out who.
Yeah, who's the FAA think owns it?
Right.
Like we should be able to just look at the N number real quick, see if it's registered too.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
And so we're trying to work on that avenue, what we need to do, because it would be considered abandoned property.
Okay, so how is that not accruing on our 90-day? The
new one isn't, because Roland Downs, we never had an agreement with them where we weren't billing him directly. It was through Dean. Yeah, we're working through the weeds of it.
All right. Can we see some like I don't want to ambush anybody today, but can we see some movement or get a report on this at the next meeting?
Yes.
So yes, because why are we doing like? Can I just like I own the 747?
Right. Yeah.
Now you bill me. No, it doesn't work that way.
Right. No. Yeah, we've tried to
declare I own it.
Yes, we've tried to reach out to Roland Downs, which is that's who the tail number is registered to, and he does not respond back to us either.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
I would like to hear
we'll,
more at the next meeting, please.
we will. We're working through it all, but we at least got the queen hair, but we're working on the other one too. Yeah.
Anything else while we're still talking our reports? Oh, okay, we don't have any standing board committees. I don't see a need to institute any at this time. So moving on to director comments for items not on the agenda. What you guys got?
Our oleanders look great coming in on Bill Shop.
And I just so you guys are aware, I did confirm with facilities they will get trimmed here in the next week or so.
I noticed a lot of the other ones that you don't see are pretty much dead. Or neglected. I'll talk to them about it, but maybe I'll do something. But the coming in on Bill Shop looks great.
Yeah.
Nice and green flowers.
We're in a new budget year. Repairs and maintenance opening up again.
Great. Any other comments not on the agenda? Nope. Okay. So closed session. My goodness, that's a list.
Yeah.
Recording stopped.
It's a list, but we're going to be able to crank through